The quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. And this isn't just a nice saying, it's a reality you need to understand once and for all. Do you think your life will improve? That things will change? That your dreams will come true? Let me tell you something harsh. If your mind is full of garbage, your life will continue to be garbage. Good thoughts bring peace, fulfillment, and joy. Negative, poisoned thoughts full of doubt and fear bring anxiety, disturbance, and frustration. Do you know why your life is stuck, why you feel anxious and troubled all the time? It's because you're feeding these destructive thoughts. And the worst part, you don't even realize that you're sabotaging yourself every single day. Yes, every day. The Bible teaches us to renew our minds, but you're stuck, repeating the same mental cycle that only drags you down further. And you know what's most tragic? As long as you keep feeding these toxic thoughts, your life will remain the same. Today, I'm going to expose 7 thoughts you have during the day that are destroying your life. And I'm going to tell you bluntly, without sugarcoating it, because you need to face the truth. If you keep thinking this way, your life will remain a mess. God has already given you everything you need to live a full life, but the truth is, you're not acting like someone who believes it. It's time to change. 1. I'm a fraud. Let's be honest. How many times have you thought this? How many times, even after an achievement, have you felt like you're fooling everyone, like you don't deserve any of what you have? This thought is destructive and suffocating. It makes you believe that you're living a lie, that at any moment everyone will discover you're not all that. But let me tell you something. This is a big lie you're telling yourself. God created you with a purpose. He knows your flaws and weaknesses, and yet He loves and chose you. If you keep thinking you're a fraud, it's because you're basing your identity on the wrong standards. Your identity is in God, and He doesn't make mistakes when He chooses you. Stop sabotaging yourself with this thought. If you keep feeding this idea that you're a fraud, you'll never believe what God can do through you. 2. I can't do this. What will they think of me? You care too much about what others think. That's what's holding you back. You know what you need to do. You know the next step. But instead of acting, you're paralyzed thinking, what if people don't like it? What if they criticize me? What if I fail in front of everyone? Let me tell you something harsh right now. Stop being a slave to others' opinions. When you care more about what people think than about what God is calling you to do, you become a prisoner. Proverbs 29:25 says, "The fear of man brings a snare." This means that when you live in fear of others' opinions, you're setting traps for yourself. Do you want to live trapped in these mental snares? You need to free yourself from this prison. The only one who matters is God. What He thinks of you is the only opinion that should guide your life. 3. I can't do this. How many times have you given up on something before even trying? This thought comes up every time you're about to face a challenge. But let me tell you something. You don't have the right to say, I can't, when God has already said you can. God didn't call you to live a life of limitation and defeat. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. If you think you can't, it's because you're trying to do things in your own strength, not in God's strength. This thought of incapability is preventing you from living God's best for your life. You need to start believing that with God by your side, there's nothing you can't conquer. Stop thinking small and placing limits where God has already made a way. 4. I won't risk it because I might fail again. Did you make mistakes in the past? Fail. Experience a bad fall. Welcome to the club of life. Everyone makes mistakes, but what defines your future is how you react to those mistakes. If you live in fear of trying again, of taking risks because things went wrong once, then you're stuck in the past. And this is preventing you from experiencing God's new things. Isaiah 43:18-19 says, Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. God is doing something new, but you keep looking back, clinging to failure. If you continue living in fear, you'll miss out on all the opportunities God has prepared for you. It's time to leave the past behind and start seeing the future that God is offering you. 5. I'm not good enough. This thought is the poison you consume every day, especially if you've spent your life being rejected or undervalued. You believe that you'll never be good enough, that you don't deserve to be loved, that the people around you are only pretending to accept you, and this destroys you from within, but God sees you completely differently. Jeremiah 31:3 says, "I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness." This means that to God you have always been good enough. Stop measuring your worth by human standards. God has already said that you are precious, and that's what matters. If you keep feeding this destructive thought, you'll never see the love God has for you and the value He has given you. 6. If I say no, they won't like me. This is the thought of someone enslaved by the need to please. You're afraid to say no because you think people will reject you. So you keep doing things you don't want to do, accepting what you can't handle, just to maintain others' acceptance. Let me tell you something. You will never please everyone. And you know what else? You shouldn't even try. In Galatians 1:10, Paul says, "Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ." Your mission is to please God, not others. Stop living your life for the approval of others out of fear of rejection. Your identity and worth do not depend on others' acceptance, but on God's love for you. 7. Does God really hear me? You pray, you seek God, but deep down you wonder, does God really hear me? Does He care about me? This thought reveals a crisis of faith and a wrong belief about worthiness. Let me remind you of something powerful. 1 John 5:14 says, "This is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us." Yes, God hears you. He is always attentive to your prayers, always present in your struggles. You don't need to doubt this. If you keep feeding this doubt, you will distance yourself from God, and that distance will only increase your emptiness. Now that you've heard this, the question is, will you continue sabotaging yourself, or will you change your attitude? Because the truth is, as long as you don't replace these destructive thoughts with God's truth, your life will remain full of frustration, anxiety, and stagnation. Stop feeding these lies. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. If you want to see change, start thinking as God thinks. The choice is yours.